Okay, if you want to know more about Web 2 or Web 1, we can do that on another day. I'm going to focus purely on Web 3 and what Web 3 is. Web 3 really focuses, it's really the web that started when Bitcoin started. Bitcoin really kicked off into the market back in 2009, but it wasn't really popular or well known. I wish I was one of the early adopters of that. I would be very well to do right now just by owning two or three Bitcoins. It used to be a dollar back then in 2009. But it emphasizes decentralization, user ownership, trustless systems powered by blockchain and AI. And I can go into depth what trustless systems is. What they mean by trustless systems is that it's not one centralized system, but there are many ways, there are many different participants in that system to make sure that everybody's honest. It's more of a community based system. And if you use Ethereum or if you're familiar with Ethereum, it's more of in the sense that they have contracts. They call them smart contracts, where that system goes through a system of servers where they have to verify that data is true. But we can definitely go into that more another time. Some characteristics, some key things about Web3 is that it really kicked off in 2009. It blew up probably in 2015. Again, it's decentralized. Emphasis on the word decentralized. It's blockchain based. The owner owns the data. So the user owns the data. Ownership is with the user, not a company like how TikTok owns our data, Facebook owns our data, X for those of y'all who use X or Twitter. And what that means is if you're not paying for the data or if you're not paying for the product, like we don't pay to use Twitter, we don't pay to use Facebook, we don't pay to use YouTube. You are the product. So if you're not paying, you're the product. That's if you want to, the rules of sales of anything. If you're not putting money down, you're not putting your credit card down, there's no payment being exchanged, there's no bartering sister happening, you're the product. In the Typically it's AI driven and it's personalized. Some social media sites that are Web3, and then I'm going to say Web3 aligned. That's another key term. Web3 social media sites are like Steamlit, Lens, Protocol, Diaspora. Web3 aligned sites is Mastodon. So Mastodon is a Web2 site that is Web3 aligned, and what's key about it is it focuses on open source and decentralization. Open source allows anybody to come in and manipulate the information for their own personal use. So Mastodon is a collection of servers, and people can set up their communities based off of a server system. So you can say we're going to have TikTok users, black women TikTok users, TikTok or Mastodon, better yet. And we have a server set up just for that, and we make the rules of who can get in there. Like I'm a part of a Mastodon server, and it's very trans friendly. And one of the rules is if you say anything transphobic, you get kicked out. I'm a part of another one that's very Afrocentric friendly. You say anything that's anti-black, they can kick you out. Streaming would be instead of you using Spotify and YouTube, you use Audius or Funky or Funkwell. Streaming video instead of using again YouTube again, you use Theta. PeerTube is Web 2, but it's Web 3 aligned because it's decentralized open source. But you would use Theta or PeerTube. These are just examples, and definitely more examples. Collaboration, instead of using Google Docs or Dropbox, you would use something like Argon, SyncThing, or Nextcloud. Nextcloud is another one that is Web 2 that is Web 3 aligned. And what these allow you to do is set up your own personalized cloud servers. You have to pay whether it's a monthly fee or an annual fee, but you have all your data and all of your information in your own personalized cloud server. Cloud storage, again, instead of Google Drive, you would use Filecoin or CFile. E-commerce, instead of like Amazon, Etsy, or eBay, you would use OpenSea or Zora. Gumroad is up here. Gumroad is Web 2 that is Web 3 aligned, but Gumroad is up here. Crowdfunding, instead of Kickstarter, you would use GitFund. Again, fully decentralized. Fully decentralized, users own their own data, and so at some points users have their own platforms, and so they control that. Whereas when it's Web 2, the platforms control our data because we are the product. If you would like more examples of this, or you want more information, or you want me to drill a little deeper on something, just let me know. I have no problem doing that. But that is a brief 4-minute overview of Web3, and Web3 is way more extensive than that. Way more. You can spend months drowning in learning Web3, but the key thing is that it's decentralized. Users own their own data, and anything is hackable, but it starts to set up precautions for prying eyes. Every system that we're using, from Facebook to YouTube to Discord, if you think those groups are private, they are not. Telegram, when they arrested the founder of Telegram, it compromises the system. So people who are moving their communities over to Telegram, remember that the founder was arrested in France so they could get access to Telegram systems. So that is not a safe system. That is a compromised system. And so when you're thinking about where you're moving your communities to, who are the people monitoring your private communities? And a lot of these people have or work for current governments, whether it's U.S., China, Russia, or any other government that's trying to infiltrate our private information. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is, like, in the age that we're going into is the age that Edward Snowden had brought up. And we're really back there when Biden and Congress rolled back some privacy protections for citizens. We're there. And so when you're setting up your communities, and we're talking about mutual aid and protecting marginalized communities, how do you ensure that you're protecting your community, and where you're putting your community matters? It really does. And if you're trying to do something where you're protecting, whether it's protecting history, protecting the underserved, marginalized, protecting those that people want to harm, I really think that we as an overall community need to be having the conversation of, when we're using digital third spaces and we're trying to make them safe spaces, where we go matters as much as who's leading it and who's facilitating as far as moderators go. Just some food for thought. Definitely would love to continue the conversation.